Yeah, this works.
Mm-hmm.
I've got questions.
All right. I feel like, is this like a shrink session?
Yeah, this is like a.
Tell me about your traumas.
I could
Logan,
tell you
real
about traumas.
estate.
I could tell you. I could just talk about traumas.
Our coffee making earlier.
That was traumatic. That'll be really traumatic when the corporate at Elevation sees that. more for them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Annabelle,
I'm Logan.
we're here
Estate
again.
Professionals, yeah.
I think today we're just doing casual, no more numbers, because I'm numbered out today.
Yeah,
I've had a crazy week. I felt like this morning should have been Friday. I
I
woke up
agree with
and
you.
I'm like, but you know what? I've been really busy, so it's good.
Yeah, I've been busy too. And yesterday was my mom's birthday.
Oh, Dina, happy birthday.
So
Winky, winky.
I was trying to go see her for her birthday, but it was like leads coming in, this home that had been sitting on the market.
Please don't
for,
judge Logan for not seeing his mom on her birthday. That
I,
is not an indication of the type of human he is.
no, so all day long I have been ready to leave the house to go see my mom on her birthday. So I did finally make it there like 7 o'clock. I spent a few hours there. And I stopped at the spa place and got her a gift certificate and
You didn't show up empty-handed.
no, and a box of cookies from Crumble. Those were
Oh.
good.
God, those are so bad, but good.
Yeah.
But why is like...
They're pretty sugary. But they were like, they said like a little mini pack of cookies. So I thought they'd be smaller cookies because the last time I had a Crumble cookie, I swear it was this big. So I thought a mini cookie was just going to be a normal size.
Yeah.
And I bought a 6-pack of those and they were truly mini. It was like $15 for 6 cookies this thick.
Tell me you love your mom then. All right. Well, that's okay because like you cannot eat a whole Crumble cookie anyway.
Yeah.
And you
I
do-
think she was excited not to have
Yeah.
6 giant cookies.
And the cool thing is, like, with Crumble is, like, you want to try all the flavors, right? So
Yeah.
the little minis is
Yeah.
perfect way to do it.
It
All
was
right.
good. So
Well,
we
cool.
got 6 different flavors of.
Mm. And how many of those did you eat?
Probably half because I hadn't eaten in like 6 hours.
Well, okay, now we can go back to why was your day so crazy and make it quick because we only, we can't talk for 17 hours. I mean, we could.
Yeah, we really could just make a 17-hour video. Of
I know, it would be very, yeah,
It would be kind of fun. For
I
some
think we
people.
could really do it.
Yeah, we should do that one day.
Just have like
We'll
a
do it
marathon.
live. Yeah, we'll go live.
Oh my
People could
god.
listen to,
I
like, a
think
live
everybody
podcast.
would unfriend me. On YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say if I did it like on my Instagram or my Facebook. I don't know. I unfortunately was one of those very impulsive, don't tell me what to do and deleted my TikTok app so I got into TikTok and it's unbelievable
Yeah.
how many people just record their day and get paid millions of dollars for it. So maybe this would work. All day long, just have their camera on.
Yeah.
I fell down this hole with this lady named Ash Trevino, and I was watching it day and night, and it was just her going like this. It was ridiculous, and she was just like this very. It was awful, and then now I'm like, why did I give so much of my time?
On
It was
TikTok?
during like I was watching it on TikTok. It was
This
during.
is why you deleted it because of Astravina.
Oh no! It's so complicated. Okay, so during the holiday break, slow.
This Christmas.
Yeah,
Okay,
and it
just
was
making
slow.
sure I'm
Yeah,
aware
Christmas break. It was slow, so I was at my mother-in-law's for a while.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so there was nothing really going on. I was working, but it's Christmas. So and it's in the Midwest, and it was like freaking 12 degrees, and it was awful, right? So no one leaves the house. So I go down
It's
this.
humid there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh God, it was so cold. I go down this rabbit hole of this lady named Ash Trevino, and people hate on her. And this lady's like crazy. She's crazy, right? She's just this middle-aged, out of shape. She eats Doritos and bean dip on camera, and then she goes out with like young boys, like 22-year-old boys.
Okay.
Anyway, it was why unnecessary?
Good for her, I guess.
Yeah, good. I mean, no, because one time she was happy because they Venmoed her $30. I was like, girl, raise your standards.
Wait, they pay her to go have lunch with her?
Like once in a while, she's like the mother. Okay, he's
Anyways.
He's not disgusted of it because he doesn't know the whole story. Anyway, I found myself watching videos of this lady who was not interested, but millions of people were, and they were like, "I can't believe you're on live on Christmas Eve," and she's like, "So are all of 1.2 million of you watching me?"
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
there's hope for us.
Yeah. Okay.
That was such a long way to say there's hope for us, but that just goes to show that 17 hours is a possibility.
Wow. I'm shocked.
About what?
All of that. How many people are watching her? These 20-year-olds are paying her to go have lunch with her.
Yeah.
Them.
Yeah. And she's like 35, out of shape, gordita.
Huh.
Huh. Like,
All right.
not hating, girl. Do your thing, right? I was watching. I feel victim.
Yeah. Huh.
For the longest time, my alarm
So
said.
how long did you watch? Like a few hours.
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 I was averaging like 11 hours a day. Because I finished all my compliance for 2025. There was nothing else to do. I had finished my 2 books I took. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, yeah.
and anyway, so I just wonder how much money she made off me.
Probably.
So anyway, the story is that once that Sunday morning when that whole TikTok ban happened,
Yeah.
and then I go to open my app and then it's like no longer.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So I was like, instantly, I'm like, fine, and I deleted it. Well, then it came back an
And now it
hour
came back,
later,
yeah.
and now you can't get it.
And now you can't get it?
No.
Oh, I thought it was still around for a while.
Well, yeah, but you can't go into the app store to buy it anymore.
Oh, only
So-
if you already had it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know.
So I've saved
mean,
myself a lot of time.
I don't have it, so I guess I can't get it.
Yeah, you
For
can't
now.
download it anymore.
now.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It was interesting. It was fun. It was like different. I gotta admit, I like TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad to see it go, but it was a time suck for real.
Well, maybe it'll come back. I hear the United States Sovereign Wealth Fund is going to buy it.
Really?
It's a new.
What is that?
It doesn't exist yet, but but it has been executive ordered into existence, is my understanding.
Oh, there's a lot of executive orders out there. We can't talk about that.
No, but I wish I
Uh-huh.
could just executive order things.
Yeah. I wish I could executive order things like rates or
Yeah, that would be cool.
appraisals or deadlines. Anything really.
That would be pretty cool.
Underwriting in general. Did you know I worked for a credit union where I was able to be my own underwriter?
No,
It was
that
the
up
most-
before 2008 or?
No, it was post 2008, and it was just this credit union had a different model, and basically, as the loan originator, I would just make sure it met the guidelines,
Uh-huh.
right? But I didn't have to like overanalyze income, which I never did.
Oh, so that's interesting. So there's no federal requirement that you.
I think now you do have to have a
Okay.
license because our mortgage lenders are always, or our underwriters always want to make sure, I don't want to lose my license. So I think it was different now.
But if
that was like-
validations allowed it though, could you technically, if you had an underwriting license, you
yeah,
think,
I couldn't
do
do
both?
both. No,
oh, not
because
anymore.
it's unethical. Yeah, to be
Okay.
because then you're like me. You're like, yeah, they
Yeah,
should
yeah.
get a loan. But it was because that credit union was more focused on paying us an hourly rate versus
Okay,
commission.
that makes sense.
So I was getting a very standard hourly rate, and I'd get like a small bonus on more. I mean, when I say small, it was $100.
yeah,
I was like, when I saw Colorado and how much mortgage lenders were making here, I'm like, what the heck? I would have been a millionaire.
yeah, because it's probably
This hair.
slower, right?
Well, the
Maybe
thing
you
is,
have to do.
the Midwest loan amounts are 120 grand because
Sure.
like I lived in the Quad Cities, so
Right,
I
because
mean-
at that time, like, what is a home selling for?
40,000, 50,000,
Okay,
60,000.
so 60,000 they put down 5.
Percent. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you gotta.
$55,000
Yeah.
loan amount. Yeah. So it's crazy, but I was still closing like $17 million.
That's a lot. of
Yeah.
loans.
I was winning the prize for like the smallest loan amount in relation to number of loans.
That's
so
pretty
it's- yeah.
amazing.
But that's just good, like when people are comfortable with you.
So
know,
how many houses is that?
Like
That's
178, 100 and
A month?
a year. No, like a year.
Yeah, a year. Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
crazy? But there
That's
are
what it seems
originators
like.
out there. Like in my company, I feel really blessed because I'm around very high producers.
Sure.
And that just makes you want to work really hard, and they're full of ideas and innovation. And plus, I'm very competitive, and I'm like, man, how is this guy kicking my butt? So
You were the #1 loan originator in Northern Colorado last year?
yeah, it was really exciting.
How did that, well, how long have you been?
Oh my God, the questions are starting.
Yeah, I got questions for you.
Okay.
I said well, no, so I put together some questions this morning because yesterday I was negotiating a deal.
Okay.
So
he opens the book and then closes it.
I have a few offers,
Uh-huh.
and one of these buyers tells me she hasn't submitted the offer in a written format yet. She just keeps bringing verbal offers, which...
Who, the agent?
One of the agents, which is okay. But she says it's not going to be an investor, and it kind of wasn't. It was for his father buying a condo for his children that are going to see you.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, she eventually writes up the offer and sends it to me, and she's got the box checked in the contract saying it will be an investment property. And I talked to the lender, and the lender says it's going to be an investment loan. So I said, well, in this building, it's about 50% owners, 50% non-owner occupants, according to public records, from what I can see.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been able to talk to the HOA because they've switched management companies, and this new management company doesn't answer you at all. So I have no idea what the ratio is in this building. And I say, well, I'm not totally sure that, it's going to be warrantable for an investment type product. And the guy says, well, why don't you look it up and call me tomorrow if it's not. And of course we got a deadline to respond to these offers by. So it was very similar to another offer, and the other offer was cash. And so of course we signed the cash offer. But I was just thinking to myself, I was like, man, if these guys had been working with Elevations, they would have had it. Mm-hmm. Because I know Elevations can do a kiddie loan, which is be structured like a primary residence. Mm-hmm. And I know that push comes to shove, if the condo is not warrantable, that there's going to be a backup route that's not really going to affect our path to closing.
Yeah.
With these other guys, I could tell they were so sensitive. They were just wanting to beat the other offer by the most minuscule amount possible, that if we had to move to a non-warrantable, what would you call it?
Portfolio loan.
Yeah, something with a higher interest rate. Mm-hmm. I didn't think they'd close on it, so I didn't feel comfortable with my seller taking that offer for just a few $1,000s more when we had a cash offer. And it really does, I think what it comes down to is when I talk to buyers, there's people out there that think that it doesn't really matter who your lender is. It's kind of like a car. Like, who cares what car you have as long as you can get to where you're going? And it could be true, except for like you go buy a Mercedes and you spend a ton of money, but do you really need to spend that much to get there? Probably not. And on the other hand, you could buy like a used car that's not going to make it off the lot or something. Mm-hmm. And that's going to cause a lot of problems for you, because you're going to call the tow truck and but so really like finding the lender that's able to get you to where you want to go, that's not going to cost you a fortune or more than you need to pay, but knows what they're doing to get it done and is willing to work these extra hours. So I just started writing down questions about what made you want to do it, because a lot of times people don't think about all
truly,
that goes into
it. Oh my gosh, yes, like there's so much to lending that people don't realize. Like, even if you would have accepted that offer and it turns out it was non-warrantable, that means that person cannot get the type of loan they wanted, which now means they're probably not going to qualify. If they had turned in some earnest money and they didn't meet deadlines, they'd be in jeopardy of that, right?
Yeah, right.
Plus, just as a lender, how embarrassing to not ask the right questions. Like, tell me what you know about this condo complex. How do you know what, let me tell you.
And that was a red flag for me. That was one of the reasons why I took the initiative to look into this, because this lender was from out of state. Licensed in Colorado, but like if you're a Colorado lender, or at least a lender from around the Front Range, I think you probably have an understanding most places in Boulder are not warrantable.
Yeah, and typically that's the first question you ask. Hey, do you know if the condo is warrantable or not? Why? Because it's going to change the type of loan they can get, and maybe even if they want to move forward.
Right.
Yeah. Oh.
Plus, the guy tells me, when I'm fine to look it up in a
Yeah.
Fannie Mae system, but I call Annabelle last night. I go, hey, where do I find this Fannie Mae system? Because I've never heard of this.
I know. I was like, wait, am I missing out? I had to triple check, but I'm like, instantly, I'm like, no, there's no list. He's crazy. But then I'm like, wait, no, there's no list. That's insane. Like,
there's a lot of websites that say Fannie Mae approved condo.com. And so that's why I was like, maybe there is a.
No, so every lender, like, we have an HOA department, and their job is to work with these sometimes difficult HOA companies to get them to fill out questionnaires. As a lender, it's important to know also, like, how much is the deductible on the insurance right now in Colorado.
Yeah.
Insurance is really high, and a lot of these condo complexes are coming back non-warrantable because their deductible is more than 5%.
Well, that's a problem we have on. I don't know if that's a problem, I guess, on this particular one, but our HOA fee is $800 a month, and it's mostly, I think, because of the size of the building in this particular complex, they do your HOA fee by the size of your unit, and this is the biggest in there, so that contributes to it. But a lot of places
I know what condo you're talking about.
Yeah.
Wow, that one is a nice condo.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah. I think it is. It's a nice condo, I think.
Yeah.
It's
And oh my god, the views.
Yeah. Yeah, the views are good, and it's
the
cool
neighborhood,
because
it's in Boulder. It was really nice.
yeah, it kind of feels like an actual house because
Yeah.
you walk out and where it's situated in there, like there's a common lawn, but it feels like it's your own because you don't have anybody right next to you, 2 parking spots.
See,
and,
again, 17 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, go back.
So,
Anyway.
so that was it. So
like knowing what's like, it does matter. Things like that matter.
Yeah, that lender killed the deal for those people because.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The lender killed the deal.
Yeah, for those
because they didn't
guys.
ask the right questions.
Yeah, I mean,
or say, hey, yeah, I do actually have an option for a non-warrantable condo if it comes back that way. You would have been like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, in this case, the guy said, well, yeah, I've got one, but it's going to be really expensive.
No.
And it's just like I said, they had been so finicky over $1,000, $2,000. I was like, yeah. And for my seller, right, she's selling it, there's going to be capital gains. So even though we're making a few $1,000s more, take away 25-30% of that.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had to pay an extra month of HOA fees at $1,000 a month because it takes longer to close the loan.
You're right.
So by the time we get down to it, it's like, all right, so we're making
nothing. It'd be the same.
$2,000. So we're gonna take the risk on somebody who doesn't really seem to know.
And then how would your client felt if like 2 weeks later they canceled because they didn't like the loan terms?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that was what we did.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. Asking the right questions. Yeah, I don't know. I think the job itself is challenging. It's a lot to learn and everything changes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I think that keeps you sharp, and I think if you are a good lender, you stay on top of guidelines. And believe it or not, I like learning new things and being like, oh no, you can't do it that way, you got to do it this way. And it's not about manipulating, but it's about knowing your regulations and your guidelines so well that you can be like, hey, yes, but look at this exception here. And because of that exception, we can use this backup reasoning to reduce the risk. And yeah.
So how long is the guidelines? Like for a conventional federally conforming loan, like?
No, I think there's a book right over there on top of that. I don't know, a couple hundred pages.
Yeah. So it's something you can learn. It's not like the
tax
code.
No. And honestly, it's written so it's very easy to understand. It's just like one rule will overlay another.
Okay.
And so that's where you kind of have to understand how the guidelines work. You can read one paragraph and be okay with it. But then if for some reason that income is inconsistent because of variable hours, sure, they've been there 2 years, but because of this, you can't use it. So understanding how those overlay and setting up the loan at the beginning to make sure like an underwriter doesn't have to question, they feel comfortable with the risk level and how you set up the loan, and really the borrower themselves. So that's how I like it. It's exciting. It's like a puzzle every day you have to put together.
Well, and Elevations doesn't have really too many additional rules that they add on top of that, right?
Yeah, this is cool. Yeah, Elevations doesn't have a lot of overlays, and one of the reasons that made me pick Elevations really over anywhere else, because with experience and being bilingual, you really can go anywhere. But Elevations really does care about their membership. I've never had a loan not close at Elevations ever. So I've been here since 2017, closed hundreds of loans, and I mean probably more than 1,000 loans, but never have I not had a loan not close.
That's
And
pretty
one time
amazing.
I screwed up the income. Literally, I put it in the wrong box. I'll never forget the amount, 68,794. I put it in positive income, and the person had a $68,000 loss.
Oh, like no income.
Negative
Income.
But underwriter checked for assets. We looked at, changing the down payment amount, took it in portfolio. They had been members of the credit union for 35 years. They were excellent. Like, they really made it work. And I just could not believe how, like, they saved me, but they really saved the members.
So that would have been like a portfolio loan or something?
Yeah. And it was because they had, their compensating factors. They had money saved and stuff like that. But I just thought, oh my gosh, I literally put it in a box. And I just shows we're human.
Well, yeah, right.
But still, I'm like, that's why I work for a company like this. Because if I make a monument, and I've never made that mistake again, ever. Now I triple check it. I mark a little box. The other day I had a dream about it, so I checked it another box. But it's one of those things. It just shows like there's so much going on with the mortgage process.
Well, there's so much going on with a mortgage, and people's finances can be so different. Do you think AI will take your job someday?
I think that AI is super helpful. I think that it helps us really to organize our how we deal with our borrowers, but I don't know. I think you do have to have an affinity to people.
Yeah.
Gosh, you get so upset about order of food that goes wrong, right?
Yeah, right.
And you order everything online, but you get so mad when it's wrong. So imagine your finances.
I can't imagine, personally, I think somebody doing their whole loan application and not talking to a human, because I just think of like, let's see, remember a few years ago I had all of those leads come in on one of those Elevations Land Trust?
Yes.
And some people would come in and like, they never tell you the truth, right? So I mean,
people pick and choose definitely what they tell you.
Right, so like, I guess that's one of the things is AI has got to be able to like sort this out. And then when people talk to you, there's so much like excitement or disappointment or stress.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're looking at these payments right now, I think that you need a little bit of a human factor to
I think it goes
help
a
you
long
understand.
way. Yeah. I do think like when you're purchasing a home and you're definitely going through that initial process, I think you do need to at least be able to call someone and say, hey, just to double check, is this all right?
Yeah.
During the refinance boom, though, what was crazy is that we were doing refinances, of course, left and right. And because most of them were Elevations members, they trusted us and knew us from their first transaction.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Then everything was online there. But in purchases, 9 times out of 10, people will talk to me at the very beginning of the transaction.
Right.
You just need to know that someone is there, and
right.
Because it's a big deal. And like you said, this payment shock right now, and being realistic about budget and talking about it, and really educating people when they buy, because I think that when you are educated, you're going to make better decisions in anything you do, and if you do it for those right reasons, and it's fun.
Yeah. So what got you into lending?
Oh my gosh. So when I very specifically because I helped my parents buy a house.
Okay.
I was 12 years old.
Is that the house that your parents are still in?
Yes, my parents are still in that house. That house
cool.
is paid off.
Because they live pretty close to me, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Never in their life would they ever save $600,000 ever. Yeah. They work at a hotel.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and now they do. They have this nest egg.
They're probably millionaires. Or pretty close.
Close. It's amazing. But yeah, so I was 12 years old and my parents were looking for a house, and at that time there wasn't a lot of people that spoke Spanish in the industry. So I was their translator.
Okay.
And it was pretty cool, but I liked talking to people. I've been very outgoing, but it was really hard to tell your parents, hey, they said no. Right. Like, so when I was having to translate to my parents that, no, we can't get a house, it was pretty traumatic. I literally remember that. So I think
because what got them into wanting to buy a house? Like so you were renting a home, then they were canceling the lease?
No, we lived in a mobile home in Boulder.
Okay.
And one of their friends bought a house. And
Okay.
my parents were like, well, maybe we can sell this mobile home and move into a house.
Okay.
My dad always wanted a house.
And so they had bought that mobile home.
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
They bought that little mobile home.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so they sold it for like $6,000.
Well, back a few years ago.
And
yeah,
that was,
right.
that was in what, 1992?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, yeah, they sold it for like $6,000. That was their down payment.
It's a pretty good price, really, for that time.
Yeah, and I remember like helping my mom write a $2,000 check, and I thought it was pretty cool to write a check.
Yeah.
But then, like, as we got older, like, I remember moving day. I remember my parents' friends coming over. It was a really big deal that my parents bought a house. And then as I got a little bit older, my parents were always very honest about money and our situation.
So they told your parents they can't buy.
Oh, yeah,
Then they bought a house. So what happened?
Oh, yeah. So, like, a bunch of people, no, they can't buy. And I was probably my translation services, because then we went to this, it was a Century 21 office, and my dad's like, let's pull in and go say hi. And the guy who was there did not speak Spanish, but he was like, my wife speaks Spanish, and he told me to go sit down, and like, a few minutes later his wife shows up, and then suddenly they're looking for homes. So it was maybe my fault, I don't know. But anyway, they got what they needed, and this agent went above and beyond, make sure to get his wife so that she could help. And yeah, then eventually that same agent helped my dad sell the mobile home.
Okay.
And then we bought a house here in Longmont, and it was like maybe $127,000, something like that. But that was a huge deal.
And that was in 1982 as
well.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we were like $650 now. Incredible. But yeah, like when they bought their house, that totally changed our lives forever. Like my parents became really stable and happy, and they told their friends.
Yeah, so then you went to the same schools, and your friend group probably never changed again.
No, it was a lot of stability. My parents learned to leverage their equity. I mean, my brother, like, they paid for his school. Like, it just really, my parents were living the true American dream,
Yeah.
And I saw that. And again, my parents were really honest about money. And as soon as I graduated in high school, I needed a job for the summer, so I went to Wells Fargo. And the mortgage lender at that time needed somebody to translate. And I was like, oh, I can do that. And so I worked with him for a few months, and then I saw how much he got paid. And I was like, wait a minute. What? I'm like, you're paying me like $9 an hour? And I was like, no. Okay, I'm going to learn. And within a year, I learned. And he really taught me everything. He was great to work with, a different person at Wells Fargo. And then, so I've been doing that now for 23 years. So good start. I like the reason. And it's still the reason why I do my job, because, oh my God, you've seen people's lives change.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean.
Completely. You have, oh my God, the guy in Evans.
Yeah, I was just thinking, that is pretty amazing, really, because there was this client we had. Oh, he was a son of. Right.
Past client.
Yeah, he was a son of a past client. I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, so he was stepson of a past client. Mm-hmm. So this guy had grown up, had some drug problems, got cleaned up.
Some drug problem. He was on heroin, lived under a bridge, was homeless for like a few years, and he was young, like 16.
He was pretty young when he bought that house. So I don't know. There's one of the exact.
I mean, he was going through it.
Then he was with his girlfriend, got her pregnant, and I don't know exactly how that timeline worked out, but then he decided he was going to sober up. So she helped him sober up. He went and got a job, worked there long enough, saved up his money, and went and bought a house. And now this guy, like, the house has gone up in a ton, like more money than this guy's ever gonna make in working, where he works. I think he makes okay money now, but I mean, he's made a ton of equity. The house is in perfect shape. It's
in a great area that he bought 3 years ago, right? 3 or 4?
That would have been like 2020 or 2021.
Okay, so like 4 years. And 4 years ago, that area seemed far away. There was nothing, and now there's new construction everywhere, and it's growing a lot. So he bought at a perfect time.
His kids can stay at the same school. I know he's happy. His payment is like so much better than any place that he could be. And this is a place he bought with down payment assistance, FHA, CHAFA. The market was horrendously competitive.
Oh, he had no extra money to give. People wanted above asking price.
Actually, so his house, I knew the areas he was looking at. I saw it come online. He was at work. He didn't have any service at work. So I mean, I've seen enough homes from the photos and in person that I could tell, okay, the windows look new. I think it said the roof was new. I don't remember if I could tell the furnace or not, but just the price was good. So I just wrote the offer. And then...
Bidding 21 at 3%, 2% rate. Oh my God. Yes, a lot of people were writing offers sight unseen.
Well, and the thing is, in Colorado, you have all these opportunities to go and look at it, right? So, I mean, if my client would have been upset, we would have had a different problem. But the thing is I knew this guy was never going to... He'd lost out on 20, 30 homes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
He did put like 30 offers in, didn't he? Oh.
And he was about to give up, and I don't give up, and I don't let my clients do that. So he was at work, so I just took that matter into my own hands, and I wrote this, and I can't remember, I think it was high. That was the problem with it. The home was high, but I wrote it as a full price offer because I didn't think this home was going to appraise and the sellers weren't going to take less.
Right.
So we got it under contract. He got off work and I said, "Congratulations, you're finally under contract with a home." And I said, "No, you don't mind. I took the liberty to sign for you." But so I went and looked at it that night for a second showing. The people had already moved out, so that was good. And and he loved it. And the home was perfect. It was like new furnace, new hot water heater, the roof was new, the windows, like all the big expenses that I was worried about. Like if these things go out,
because you actually cared about them, you knew they didn't have extra money, and so you couldn't put them in a house that needed big ticket items because simply he did not have.
Yeah, like those were the ones that were easy to win at the time, right? Like places that needed a lot of work, but it doesn't do you any good if you got to shell out, at that time maybe $10,000 for a roof and how much money for furnaces and AC, and all that stuff. So yeah, so it was perfect. We got under contract. The appraisal came back, and the appraisal came back low.
Yeah.
The seller,
which means that you can renegotiate, take it, or the listing agent has to disclose the appraisal amount to the next client. So there's protection there.
So we went back and told the listing agent, "I'm sorry," which I truly was. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if they had appraised, the guy was fine with the payment.
Yeah.
And he wasn't going to get into anything else. And look at where we're at today. Like, he would have made it back. I mean, we're not talking a huge difference here. It's only 20, 30,000, which at the time for that home was, probably somewhere between 5 to 10%.
Yeah.
But the thing was, since it did come in low, I just went back into a listing agent who's fairly new at his job, and I just said, "You have to reduce it." And they didn't have to, but they did. Well, and they had to if we were going to buy it, because we didn't have $20,000 to cover the appraisal gap. And so they dropped it and they bought it and they're there.
And that probably has appraised how much? Like $100,000 in the last 4 years? Yeah. And it's incredible that area was really nothing and how much it's grown.
Yeah. Yeah.
My friend Ario opened a burger shop in Evans called Burger Burger. Check it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Burger.
Like BURG, like Burger Burger. It's cute. It's just a drive-through. It's really good. He and his partner opened it.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah. Check it out. He's Latino, so we gotta support each other.
Yeah, we gotta take a look at that.
Yeah, but it's in all the way in Evans, so whenever we sell our next house in Evans, we'll go to Burger Burger. But anyway, yeah, look how much that guy's life changed. Like, it changed. If he would have waited another couple years, he would not have been able to buy a house.
Well, yeah, if you would have had somebody that, I remember, we had remember that blizzard we had that year?
Yeah.
There was this horrible blizzard, but then this home came up for sale that weekend. I go, nobody's gonna look at homes this weekend.
Yeah.
Let's go see it. And it still had 1 million offers on it.
It did.
So you still didn't get it.
Oh.
But I think it's, sometimes you got to find those little opportunities.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you do have to look for the homes that are overpriced and know how the lending process works too. And sometimes use that to your advantage. I mean, I guess you can't guarantee that it's always going to end up like that. Sometimes things appraise when they shouldn't, and sometimes things don't when they should. But normally not. I mean, normally everything goes like it should.
Yeah, and typically an appraiser is pretty fair.
Yeah.
I mean, their job is truly to come up with a value. They are going to look at comparables. They're not there to make or break a deal, which is, they're just there to say, hey, this is what it came in at.
Well, they're going to get paid no matter what, right?
Absolutely. They're a party to the transaction. So when they do their job, it has to get paid. And so we pay those appraisers up front, and then it's part of closing costs.
Right.
But you don't have to have that money up front to buy the house.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing with Elevations that I've come to, well, not that I've come to appreciate, it's just that Elevations is the only company that offers it that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen proposals from lots of different lenders. So Elevations, they will pay for your appraisal when you go under contract.
Yeah, so we order the appraisal on day one.
And so then what happens?
Well, because okay, so first of all, like, why is it a big deal? Like, people are like, you got a contract, you should move on with it. Well, what happens is, when somebody goes under contract, they have how many days for an inspection?
Usually 7 to 10.
Okay, so they have
Unless it's a competitive market, then we're looking probably 5.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, so they have the opportunity, the buyer, to order an inspection, which you should, and that's going to give you everything that's wrong with the property. At that point, if you don't come to an agreement with the seller on what they're going to fix and not fix, they can terminate.
Yeah.
Well,
and you need about 5 to 7 days to get this inspection scheduled. So if my buyer's going under contract, the first thing we're doing is scheduling the inspection, because otherwise we're missing our deadlines.
Yeah, and dates and deadlines are, oh my God, our next video is going to be dates and deadlines.
Yeah.
But so then, and a lender will oftentimes wait until they have that inspection back to order the appraisal. Because once you order the appraisal, the lender will pay for that service. Well, some lenders out there are stingy, and they don't want to pay for an appraisal if they're not going to buy it based on the inspection. But that screws up your deadlines.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference on your deadlines.
If I have a 30-day closing, but I didn't even order the appraisal until day 12.
Well, so look, I'll tell you, whenever I'm working with somebody that doesn't order the appraisal up front, which is everybody.
Mm.
I mean, I can't think of anybody else, in all fairness, that orders the appraisal on day one. The problem is, like, if it takes 3 weeks to get this appraisal back, and I order it 1 week, let's say, after I've done it, say the inspection occurs 1 week into the contract process, and everything goes good enough that we say, well, we haven't negotiated the inspection items yet, but we feel comfortable enough paying for the inspection. Like, my clients end up paying for a rush on this stupid appraisal, which
$150
or more. Usually, if I do a rush at Elevations, I'm paying $150. If I do a rush anywhere else, I'm paying somewhere between $400 to double. Like on my house.
What?
Yeah, like, so when I bought my house, I had this situation where I couldn't use Elevations to do it, and it wasn't Elevations' fault; it was my fault.
Clarify.
I wasn't paying attention to something, and it made a mistake that. Yeah. So I don't want to talk about that some other time, but so I had to order one of these rushes on it because I can't remember why. I don't know if they forgot to order it or they just didn't order it or what the deal was. And yeah, instead of paying $650 for an appraisal, I paid almost $1,200. But it didn't surprise me because that's like what you pay, I think, almost everywhere, somewhere between like $800 on the minimum side to about $1,200. Yeah.
So, like, I think that...
So the buyer pays more anyways. Yes. I mean, like, we're saving money because we didn't waste money on an appraisal for a home that we didn't buy, but then we just paid for 2 appraisals.
Yeah, it's insane. This is where the credit union focuses on the experience. So are they going to stress out the member by saying, hey, guess what? Your fees are going to...
double.
Yeah, because we wanted to make sure not to spend our own money? No. Elevations would rather eat appraisal fees than to upset a member and our partners. So it makes a big difference.
And I think you'll probably do more business because of it. Because even if you just take the experience out for the client, when you
Logan's like, who cares how you feel?
Well, I mean, how you feel is important.
This better be recorded.
I think it is. No, I think the experience is important. But if you never get the opportunity to have the experience doesn't matter. And for a lot of buyers, like, they're just afraid of taking that step because they don't want like, well, I don't want to pay for appraisals and inspect because I have all these unknowns. So like it's before the experience even started, Elevations is taking some unknowns out.
Yeah.
They're saying, hey, if this part goes wrong, we got your back.
Yeah.
And it does, and it helps me on the negotiating too, because I go to the inspection and something goes wrong. I don't have this like, oh, we already paid for inspections, we already paid for appraisals, we already committed to, I'm like, yeah, we got a little money in inspections, but not so much we're going to buy your $500,000 scraper because of it.
Yeah.
And the people will go, okay, well, and so I've got some more negotiating power, and it works out better for everybody. So, I think
it's a big impact. It makes a big difference, and it makes my job easier too, because I don't want to be stressed out ordering this appraisal.
Yeah, asking every 5 minutes, do we want to order? Do we want to order?
No, I'm just like, done.
Yeah.
Move on. So, yeah.
And they send money. It's like 7 days before closing?
Yeah, so as soon as we get our closing figures, we will wire the money directly to the title company, and that's usually like 3 days prior. And we never have funding conditions. So people don't have to wait around for us to be like, yeah, it's okay, you're good, congratulations. It just happens that time, yeah. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that one too, because there was this agent on the team, and they were working with this other lender, and they had to clear to close, but he didn't want to close, basically because he wanted like the listing agent to agree to extend the dates and deadlines out, because for whatever reason they weren't sure if this lender was going to fund. And I was like, well,
that's funding means is the lender gonna actually give you the money?
Yeah.
So they were concerned that after all of this work, was the lender gonna give him the money?
Yeah, and so the closing's supposed to be the next day, and I go, well,
this is just water. I just it boggles my mind. Why?
I know. Well, that's why I was like, I mean, with Elevations, when we have to clear to close, we already had the cash at the title company. So your buyer chose not to take that option, and now that is part of the risk. Is at some point your earnest money does have to go hard.
So earnest money is like the deposit you give when you go under contract, and it's not like, oh, okay, if they cancel, I'm gonna get it back.
Yeah.
No, you lose that money.
Not at the last minute. Not if you go to closing and your lender's like, oh, sorry, not giving you the money today. People think it doesn't matter as long as you get the cash at the end. But it does matter how you get the cash at the end.
You're not,
And it might make a big difference on whether you go under contract, what offer you choose, just maybe whether or not you even own a home. Because I've seen Annabelle pull some deals out of the abyss. Just because she put the effort into it.
Yeah, because, we do rescue loans, so that's cool, but yeah.
Yeah. So, well, we could go on forever.
Yeah. So maybe we'll try the marathon next time, but thanks for tuning into our first pretend episode of a podcast. Next time will be more informative.